My Facebook ads aren't converting. How do I figure out whether it's the ad or the audience that's bad? So I need a little bit of backstory. So what I typically do is when I run ads, I have several different audiences, and I'll start my audiences with targeting that. So for example, like if it's lawyers, right? I'll start with very very obvious targeting. So for lawyers, the one of the easiest ways that you can target if you're trying to market to lawyers is you target people that are interested in things like various bar associations, or you can target job titles like you can have the job attorney or criminal defense attorney or personal injury attorney. You can target all those things. It's very unlikely that people who are not attorneys are going to be included in that audience. So if your targeting is really good, and honestly, I could talk about 3 hours about targeting, but if your targeting is good, like if you've got something like that where you pretty much know your targeting is pretty good, and what I like to do is I like to find a very, very obvious audience. Even if it's not a huge audience, I like to find a very obvious audience where I know it's the right people, because that's almost my test audience. Because I know if I'm targeting a bunch of people that are interested in bar associations and have the job title of attorney, I know that my audience is correct, right? So then what I want to do is I want to start running ads, and then I'll test my ads out. Now, when I test my ad out, there's a couple different things that I test, because I don't just run one ad. I'm sure that a lot of you have noticed that I spend a lot of money on ads, and I run a lot of different ads, and I run a lot of different variations of the same ad. So one of the things that I'll test is the first line of the ad copy. I'll switch that around. Here's a hint. You want to make sure that the people that you're targeting are included in that first line. So for me, that's why almost everything I do starts with, lawyers always make this one mistake, or when law firms struggle to get clients, it's typically because of this, or most lawyers don't know what the problem is with, whatever. So like if you're trying to get car accident cases, then I would always say I would say something like car accident victims are typically lied to by the insurance companies in 3 ways. Or if you're going for motorcycle cases, motorcycle riders who've been injured in an accident often get screwed by the insurance company because of X, Y, and Z. So I typically want the first line of the ad, really and towards the beginning of the first line of the ad, to include the demographic, or include basically kind of the like a identification of the person. So that's why if you look at any of my ads, most of my ads start with like lawyers or law firm owners or attorneys or something like that. So if you're going for like family, if you're a divorce attorney, you could say like, single, mothers going through a divorce always run into these issues right here, or anyone going through a divorce with children needs to understand these 5 things, something like that, right? So that's the first thing I always test. I always like do like 2 or 3 different variations of the first line of the ad copy. Then a lot of my ads, you've probably seen, have a big red bar that says, "Hey, lawyers" on it. So I'll test that also. I'll have 3 or 4 different variations of videos that have, it's the same video, but the text at the top there. So maybe one would be, "Hey, lawyers." Another one might be law firm struggling. Another one might be why lawyers can't get clients, or something like that, just to kind of test those out. The next thing you want to test is the actual headline that's below the video next to the button. And again, you want to have some sort of benefit in there. And basically, like, so for car accidents, we used to do like, we fight for money to pay for medical bills, doctors, and lost wages, or something like that. It's like basically the benefit, like what are you going to get by clicking here, So, but we'll do 2 or 3 different variations of that also, and we'll test all that. And then if we're doing an image ad, not a video ad, we'll test 3 or 4 different images. And then sometimes I'll even test the button. I'll change between sign up to learn more, to watch more, and see what that does. So there's so much you can test, but the reality is that if you have an audience that you know is pretty good, and that's kind of like your test audience, or that's your basically kind of like your sample or your control audience, I guess you would say. Because I have a lot of different audiences that I use that are different lookalike audiences and different things like that. So so basically testing all those things that I showed you are going to be really important to test your Facebook ad and see if the Facebook ad works. Now you typically test that on your control audience first. Now, the way you find the control audience is pretty simple. I mean, there's some demographic stuff that you can use inside of Facebook. Like if you're targeting parents, then, or say you're targeting mothers, then it's pretty simple. You can target women who have, children under the age of 18. I mean, that's actually something you can target in Facebook. So if there's obvious things like that in the demographic targeting, then it's really easy. And then what you do is you run your ads and you test your ads with all those different variations to your control group. And if it's not converting with people that you know are the correct audience, then the ad probably isn't very good. Now, if you don't have, let's say so for example, we did one recently with nurses. And you can't target, believe it or not, you can't just select nurse as a interest on Facebook targeting. So we had to do some advanced targeting for that. And the way that we do that, it's a lot easier to show rather than explain. But the way that we do that is you go into the Facebook Audience Insights tool. And on the left side, you're going to type nurse. And you're going to switch over to, hang on, actually, I'm going to look and see exactly what it is. It's in the Facebook Audience Insights tool, and it is, hold on one second. It's been a while since I've searched this because I usually have people do this for me now. But basically what you're trying to do is you're trying to find audiences, or you're trying to find interests that only nurses would be interested in. So, actually, motorcycle riders is a perfect example. So if we look at motorcycle riders, right? If we just search Harley Davidson, for example, Harley Davidson is a very popular brand. So like I don't own a motorcycle, I don't ride a motorcycle, but there still is a chance that I would like Harley Davidson because it's such a popular brand. It's like if you're selling boxing gloves. If you're trying to sell boxing gloves, your first inclination would be to target things like Muhammad Ali or Floyd Mayweather because they're boxers. So obviously, if you like these boxers, then you obviously like boxing gloves, and you'll probably buy my boxing gloves. Well, that's not true because it's too wide. So what you're going to do, it's page likes. So what you're going to do is you're going to go into the Audience Insights tool, and then you're going to click page likes, and you're going to type in nurses, or you're going to type in motorcycles, or you're going to type in any sort of doctors or fishing or whatever it is, right? And then what you're going to do is you're going to click on page likes, and you're going to look for all the obscure pages that only a nurse would like, or only someone who's into boxing would like boxing magazines or nursing magazines, or like fan pages that say I love nursing, and different things like that. So like you can, and like other things like, for example, like companies that make scrubs. That would be a good one to target for nurses. Somebody that's not a nurse doesn't care about a scrub company, So what you do is you start building out an audience that consists of only the things that actually, nurses or, whoever it is that you're targeting, whatever it is that they actually would care about. So that's the way to do the targeting for Facebook. So Facebook ads are pretty... They're really easy once you understand how to use them. I mean, once you have that control audience, and then you have a really good message, and then you test that message to figure out kind of what's going to work, that is the best way to do it. So if your Facebook ad isn't converting, that's how to fix it. If none of that works, then what you need to do is kind of look at the actual overall message and look at it. Are you providing value? Are you helping people solve problems? Or are you just talking about yourself? Or are you just talking about something that nobody really cares about or nobody really knows about? So